Horsepower. It basically means this engine is as powerful as a bunch of horses pulling this metal wagon. So that got us thinking, how much horsepower does the PlayStation 5 have, and how does it compare to its older brothers? Let's find out, shall we? I'm Riley Wynn with Digital Trends, and we decided to crunch the numbers and find out how powerful the PS5 truly is. Let's start at the PlayStation 5 specs. Sony is touting its latest console as the future of gaming. It sports a custom 825GB SSD, 16GB of memory, and AMD's Zen 2 chip with 8 cores and 16 threads of processing power at 3.5 GHz. The GPU is capable of the new hotness in gaming known as ray tracing, and it has 10.3 teraflops of computing power. That teraflop number basically means the PS5 is capable of processing over 10 trillion operations per second. Okay, I just threw a lot of numbers at you, a bunch of bits and a bunch of hertz. But what does it all actually mean? Well, the first model, PlayStation 4, was originally released in 2013. It used a standard spinning hard drive that started at 500 gigabytes of available storage. It also had a much slower 1.6 gigahertz CPU. And get this, 1.84 teraflops of GPU power. In essence, the PS5 is around 5 times as powerful as the original PlayStation 4. But let's go back one more generation. The PS3 was impressive for its time in 2006. Power-wise, yeah, we've come a long way since then. The PS3 outputs at 230 gigaflops. Yes, I said gigaflops. Giga, of course, is less than tera. And at 230 gigaflops, it would take around 44 PlayStation 3s to equal one PS5. What about the king of the consoles, the black and blue PS2? The PlayStation 2 is the most popular video game console of all time. It had 6.2 gigaflops of power. Do the math, and that means over 1.6 million PlayStation 2s would equal one PS5. Back in the 2000s, the US military used PS2s and PS3s to build a network of supercomputers. Honestly, all they needed was a time machine to come to 2020 and scoop up a couple of the PS5s instead. And lastly, how about the OG, the original PlayStation? Well, the console was released back in 1994, and it's tough to compare something 26 years later, but if our math checks out, it's kind of ridiculous. The PlayStation 1 had a 33.87 megahertz processor. If the PS2 had about 10 times the processing power of the PS1, then the PlayStation 5 has 11 million times the processing power of one PlayStation 1. Our math could be iffy, but if someone wants to gather 11 million PS1s and double check it for us, we encourage it. Any way you slice it, the PlayStation 5 is a monster of a machine. Let's compare the PS5 to something crazy. How about the computer that sent astronauts to the moon in 1969? On board the Apollo 11 was the Apollo Guidance Computer. The AGC reportedly had the processing power of around 0.043 megahertz. That's literally less than a modern toaster. If 1 gigahertz equals 1000 megahertz, and the PlayStation 2 operated at 294 megahertz, whereas the AGC operated at 4% of just 1 megahertz, that means the PS2 has over 6,800 times the processing power of the AGC. Still with me? If the PS5 is approximately 1.6 million times faster than the PS2, now let's do some math. Now, I'm no mathematician, but by my calculations, the PlayStation 5 is roughly 10.8 billion times faster than the Apollo Guidance Computer. How Houston didn't have any problems is crazy. Does our math check out? Honestly, who cares? It's 2020 and the newest PlayStation console is a massive leap in technology and just proves that each iteration surpasses its predecessor in so many ways. One can only imagine how powerful consoles will be in the future. Until next time, I'm Riley Wynn with Digital Trends, and thanks for watching.